Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I'm going to be starting a new series called Coaster Wars, and it's basically when two coasters battle, and there are 7 different categories. Each category is worth 1 point, and for inverting coasters there will be an inversions category, and for not inverting coasters there will be an airtime category, with some exceptions. So without any further ado, today's video is on Diamondback at Kings Island versus Intimidator at Carowinds. So without any further ado, let's get into the first category. The first category is height, and barely Intimidator will get this category and this point because it is 2 feet taller than Diamondback. Intimidator sits at 232 feet tall, while Diamondback sits at 230 feet tall. So Intimidator will get the first point. The second category is length, and Intimidator has 5,316 feet of track, and Diamondback has 5,282 feet of track. So it is a very close match here, but Intimidator barely gets the length point. The next category is speed, and this is an odd one because Diamondback actually has a faster speed than Intimidator, even though it isn't as tall or has as long of a track length. Diamondback goes actually 80 miles per hour, whereas Intimidator only goes 75. So Diamondback will be picking up a point, making the score 2-1. The next category is intensity, and I'm going to give this point to Diamondback, but for only one reason. Diamondback has a couple helixes thrown into the ride. It has some great airtime, and it has a couple helixes, which make the ride just a little bit more intense than Intimidator for me, because Intimidator has 1 helix at the end of the ride, whereas Diamondback has 1 helix at the end of the ride and 1 helix before the mid-course brake run. The helix towards the end of the ride on Diamondback doesn't really do a whole lot, but the helix before the mid-course brake run does give some positive G's. So that is why Diamondback will tie the score and get the intensity point. The next category is airtime, and Diamondback is going to get this point. Here is the reason why. Even though Intimidator has more airtime points, Diamondback, I feel, has more quality airtime. The 2 hills at the beginning of Diamondback both offer 5 seconds of out-of-your-seat floater airtime, and this is just absolutely amazing compared to Intimidator having a first turn and just overall not as good moments of airtime because the trims do slow you down quite a bit when you're going over those hills, which doesn't offer as good as airtime as Diamondback. So Diamondback will take a 3-2 lead. The next category is smoothness, and I think Intimidator is the smoother ride. Diamondback does have a bit of a rattle, and you can notice it in some of the valleys. Whereas Intimidator, when I rode it, it felt glossy smooth, and it was even a morning ride. But it still felt glossy smooth, and that is why I'm going to take Intimidator over Diamondback for the smoothness category. The final category that will determine it all is theming. And here is why I think Intimidator has better theming. Intimidator is themed to NASCAR and going fast, and that just fits perfectly with a big roller coaster, just like the speed and the NASCAR style trains really fit on it. Whereas Diamondback, it doesn't really have a theme other than a Diamondback rattlesnake. Like, the trains are decorated, and there's some buildings outside the ride that look like Western style buildings, but other than that, there's no theming on Diamondback whatsoever. whereas Intimidator does have bits and pieces of theming. Even the Dale Earnhardt Sr. NASCAR outside of in the plaza. And so that is why I think Intimidator will get the theming point. So that was the final category, which leads us to Intimidator being your winner. 4-3. It was a close matchup today. It came down to the final category, but Intimidator will take this one and win this first coaster war. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to click that like button and consider subscribing, and I will see you all in the next one.